Hey, Pete, super excited to be moderating this panel with my comrade in arms. Pete, he and I have become quite a double act around the world, haven't we?
The dynamic duo.
So I'm going to refer to our event in Dubai that we ran, Phocuswright with Middle East. And there was a panel of technology and product chiefs, right? And they called out what was the biggest change to come right now is the transformation in the human-machine interface, right? So before we get into the machines, we're going to try and get to know you as humans first. So I want you to share a little-known personal fact about yourself, like a secret nobody knows. So Wolfgang, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a total cinema fan. You could be arguing I've been programmed for travel because my favorite movie is obviously 2001: A Space Odyssey.
So you're in the right hotel.
Absolutely, because outside, if you have seen that, is Keir Dalia, who plays one of the leading roles in 2001.
Okay. Iñaki, what about you?
For me, I mean, a bit of a secret is I was born in Pamplona, small place where bulls run in the street. Now I never dared to run. I was like so scared. I was supposed to because I'm from there, but I just never did. So, but let's keep that as a secret.
Right, so he wasn't bold enough to run with the bulls, but he's bold enough to start a travel startup. I mean, honestly.
Riskier in some ways. Yeah.
I think the success rate of running with the bulls might be higher than the success rate of travel startups.
And Karen, last but not least, what about you? Tell us a secret about yourself.
Okay, this is my secret. Does anyone here know what CrossFit is?
Everybody does it.
I love CrossFit. I wake up at 4:21 a.m. every morning. I go to class at 5 a.m. with my mom, who's over 80, by the way.
Wow, okay. Demolition woman.
All right, so now we're going to get a little bit closer to the machine. So I'd love to hear maybe 30 seconds from each of you on one tech trend that you're excited about and that will have the most significant impact on the industry. So Karen, maybe we'll start with you here.
Okay.
30 seconds. Pete, do you have a phone? Because I didn't bring my phone along.
Right here.
Right here.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so I have children, and so for me, something that I'm really excited about and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it changes the industry is sustainable travel. When you think about clean energy, more efficient jet fuel, all of these, like, we're gonna keep traveling. Obviously, we want to travel. Travel changes the world. And so how do we do that while also protecting the environment for our future, for our children's future? And I also, one thing I love about it is, you know, really immersing yourself and supporting local destinations, local travel, and like really having authentic experiences. And I think those go together
Okay,
well.
fantastic. Okay.
Wolfgang?
Okay, let me counter-propose there a bit. I think for me the most interesting travel trend is a combination of what I would call Gen AI and Metaverse. And the future of travel could be very much that you don't travel at all and that you basically create only memories. It would obviously, in the far future, solve a lot of problems with respect to sustainability and over-tourism and stuff like that because you just don't go there. Right? So it's a bit funny, but if you think about it during the pandemic, for instance, I interviewed a local city guide, right, who did city tours in Madrid. And the guy said he did all his tours virtually. So it is possible.
Right.
Leave it here.
But, you know, I like the counter-argument because everybody always in travel always say, oh, we are a people industry, we have to have face-to-face, travel is about experiences. But for you, you're saying basically travel is about memories.
Absolutely.
And that's the
It's
only
a memory
thing that you
industry.
take. So
We're creating memories.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Iñaki?
Okay. For me, I don't know if it's travel, but it's at least mobility. I'm a big believer and very excited about autonomous vehicles. I think that has huge potential to change the way we kind of like not only travel, but live, to be honest with you. And I think it's going to change a bit the relationship we have with property of cars and other things. Every single time I walk down the street and I see all those machines lining up, just doing nothing. My car is doing nothing for days, weeks, sometimes. You know? So all this waste, I think ideally at some point we'll get rid of. And yeah, there's a lot of room for making cities better, getting efficiencies, and I don't like driving, so I guess I'm hoping this comes sooner rather than later.
Okay. So you could you could do virtual travel in an autonomous car then?
I'm not
about
so
sustainable
fan,
travel.
I'm not so fan of virtual traveling. I just still like the old-fashioned travel, but the autonomous vehicle certainly.
I like that they're already disagreeing with each other, you know? So, so Karen, you disagree with Wolfgang, don't you?
I would definitely say travel includes memories, but for me, there's also that human interaction, that human touch. I think every person that I encounter a part of their memories and a part of their background, and I think that changes me in a bigger way beyond that.
Okay. So Walter, what do you have to say to that? Who do you disagree with here?
No, look, I fully agree with her. The only thing is, do you need to be physically in front of that person? That's the point.
Okay. For me,
Okay, so I think
yeah, no, for me, just a quick thing. I mean, I'm one of those guys that didn't quite enjoy COVID. I just don't like this physical experience, digital experience being at home. And I think the revenge travel we saw after COVID kind of like tells me I'm not the only one, hopefully. So I see a bright future for travel.
Yeah, look, for the next 100 years, maybe. Or 50, right? Because a lot of tech that's missing.
So speaking of tech, you all see a lot of technology. You work on products. So what's the biggest quandary of CTOs, CPOs today? Maybe Iñaki, since you are building a company, you're right in the middle of it. What do you think about?
I mean, for us, but I think for many, it's a bit the challenge of, on the one hand, you have to go very fast, otherwise you're going to be left behind, right? I mean, if you don't jump on the AI revolution or whatever it is, others are going to overtake you. Now, in parallel, you have to deliver good quality products, enterprise ready, very safe, very secure, very reliable. How do you make those two things work, right? So we are suffering a bit from that because we are a small company delivering solutions for huge companies that have very high expectations. How being quick and fast but crazy reliable is possible in one equation. I think that's a challenge we all face, maybe.
So Wolfgang, you work for a big travel tech company. So you see a lot of startups that come across your plate. Do you think their biggest challenge is speed to market, or is it just really, creating unique products that have a slightly different fit than maybe something that Amadeus can offer?
Neither. I will be saying the biggest problem that we are having today is data. And basically all the regulation that goes with the stuff and customer consent. Look, part of my department is the corporate incubator. We had at least one very, very, I would say, promising initiative that completely fell flat on its face because we weren't able to manage the customer consent and everything that goes with it in order to make this whole stuff compliant.
What about you, Karen? I mean, what's the biggest quandary for you? Some people tell me it's about resource allocation quandary, right? Like, what do I allocate to in case, am I missing out on this? What is your quandary?
I think for me, it's really about every new piece of technology. It solves one problem, but then suddenly it exposes or it uncovers like a whole different set of problems that you wouldn't have imagined before. And exactly, Wolfgang, like you said, things like security, privacy, government regulations, like they didn't exist before. It's a new challenge. Cost is the second thing. Yeah. I can assure you, with a lot of the AI ML things that we're doing, cost is a very big consideration. And then the third is really customer expectations. And so the way that you're using a new technology, you've got to use it in a way so that you're helping to simplify the experience for your traveler. You're making it better and not making it more frustrating. And I think that can be a challenge because some people like more human interaction and some people like less.
Actually, to the point of cost, right? I think in the opening panel, Pete, on AI, when we had Booking.com and Sam speaking, and Mitra asked them, like, what was the KPIs, what were the metrics, and all of them basically say, oh, it's not about, it's the long game. Like, we're in it, we're going to invest in it. But how does a startup like Iñaki invest in it for the long game? Give him some advice.
Please.
Yes, yes. So I started as a software engineer 24 years ago in the travel industry, and the thing that we have always done at Expedia, which I love, it's what I love about my job, and that is we put partners at the center of everything that we're doing. So you should partner with us, and you should let us do some of these complicated things. Like, that's what we want to do. We partner with someone that does aspects well, so that you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on those unique areas that your business is serving, and then partner with other people that do these other things. And I think that would be the biggest suggestion that I would have.
So Iñaki, thinking a little bit about, kind of where you're at today. So you raised 5 million euros. You pivoted from Change Your Flight to Caravelo, and now you're betting it all on subscriptions, right? You've got to kind of keep that one area of focus and run at it. So you've got 10 airlines connected now, so congratulations on that. How big is this market? How big can this grow to?
For me, the way I see it, I think this is not happening just because Caravelo is pushing this into the market. I think this is happening because consumers want it. And my mentality is that eventually consumers will prevail, right? And I think there's a decent amount of consumers that want to subscribe to travel, pay a given amount of money, and have a known service for that. And that's a good value proposition for them, right? So fast forward into the future, what do I see? I see that, I don't see why not all airlines will eventually offer a subscription proposition. For some, will be like very core to what they do. For some, will be like a minor thing they do, right? But I think that's going to be in the portfolio of airlines and other travel companies.
So
the travel industry is huge. Yeah. Like, there's room for everyone, and not everyone is going to be awesome at everything. Like, this industry needs everyone to be really good at different things.
So what do you want to get awesome at?
What do I want to get?
Yeah. What does Expedia want to get awesome at?
So what I want to get awesome at is I support all of our B2B partners. And so what I want to get awesome at is whenever our partners' businesses are growing, I'm successful, which basically means I have the best job in the world, because whenever all of my partners are growing and making money, guess what? So am I. Okay. And so that's what I want to be good at.
Okay, Wolfgang, I think you probably have the better job in the world than her.
Possible.
I mean, you see a lot of startups come through your door, and they're all asking you and pitching you, for money and all that. Are you betting on anything currently? Have you seen anything that really excites you?
No.
No?
No.
What are you guys doing?
The answer is, look, funny enough, the biggest innovation that I've seen so far is basically happening in our incubators. But let's say the areas that I think will move the needle, like destination content, specifically in-trip support, all these things are things that we're not seeing a lot in startups. You're seeing very often people that are saying, oh, there's a new booking interface, all with video and TikTok and interactive. But let's say it seems as if people are focusing on things where 1 million people have focused before, right? And there are some areas in travel that are relatively sparsely populated, but where we think are big opportunities.
Okay. Destination content being one of them.
Being one of them, absolutely.
So, Jean, if you could pull up the travel innovation and technology trends. So we've talked a little bit about these trends that we cover this year. So digital payments and wallets, autonomous agents, Gen AI in travel, underappreciated tech, customer centricity, and sustainability in corporate travel. So, Hoon, we've seen a couple of these themes come up already. But I'm interested in maybe looking at the other perspective. And Iñaki, we can start with you. Mm-hmm. What's overhyped here? Which part of this list, is really just maybe we're talking too much about it?
I think not only in travel, but in general, I think Gen AI is kind of like under hype for the good reasons. but that doesn't undermine the fact that it is ongoing going through hype. So I think now everyone is like, wow, AI this, AI that. I don't believe AI is going to be a solution for everything.
Okay.
Certainly not the current understanding that we have for AI, right? I think we're very, very, very early days. We just don't see the real use cases. And we are getting excited just because it's new, but not because of the tangible value that they unlock these days. That's my take.
So maybe we ask Wolfgang, what's underhyped?
Underhyped. You could be saying maybe today underhyped is the digital identity. I think there'll be digital identity wallets. There's a gentleman here from my organization that deals with this. I think this is one of the things where we haven't seen what's coming up there, and I think it has a huge potential. And we can talk about this later if you want, but this panel will not. Okay.
Karen, you choose. Overhyped, underhyped, which one of these?
I'll go with overhyped. I'll say during the pandemic, I know there was a worry, a concern that virtual travel was going to replace travel. And I think that's probably something that it definitely has a place. And I think that it has a very, very good use, but I don't see it as a replacement for travel.
Karen's really digging in on Wolfgang right now.
No!
I don't have that feeling currently, Pete. I don't.
All right, so we want to talk about most excited by then. Most excited.
I mean, I have to say AI, ML. We had our partner conference a few weeks ago. It was called Explore. And Ariane said, it's like electricity. You know, at some point, it's going to be so embedded in what we're doing. Now, we're not there. We have a lot to learn, I think, to get there. But I do think it has, it's a very, very good opportunity to really make a big change in travel and other parts of our lives.
Maybe you want to talk about underappreciated tech, Pete?
Yeah. Wolfgang, what do you think? Underappreciated.
Today, underappreciated, maybe you would be arguing from your fantastic list, IoT.
Yeah.
Right, where people, I think, today nobody talks about this. But I think there's potentially a lot to come.
Yeah. Iñaki, anything else on your side?
For me, it's like, even if I think it's a bit like just going through a hype, Gen AI, it's also the one that I think is most exciting.
Yeah.
It's just that we are barely scratching the surface.
Yeah.
We are using very basic AI things, in the office for some very obvious use cases, right? And it's fun, and it's working, and it's good, but it's just the surface, right? I don't think we have nailed the real value this is going to unlock at all. So I think we are all getting excited for the wrong use cases, but there's going to be those killer apps that will eventually come.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a strange hype cycle because there was a ton of hype coming out of it, and it seems like every couple of weeks we're seeing something new. So we haven't really hit that disillusionment phase because it's just something new coming every week. So it'll be interesting to see how this keeps going.
But the interesting thing is in your travel trends, I think all of them will significantly change the face of travel. All of them. The only thing is at different time frames, right?
Yeah.
Shall we talk about failures then? Shall we move to failures?
Let's do.
Talk about one product innovation that you did, that didn't meet expectations, and maybe Wolfgang, you can talk about a startup that failed spectacularly. So Karen, for you first.
So right before the pandemic, we launched an amazing new API, a deals API, a merchandising API. And then suddenly no one traveled. So guess what? No one wanted to use this. So I will say sometimes things fail, but sometimes there's a lot of reasons that things fail. So we're now dusting it back off because...
the timing is better.
That's right. The timing is now right.
Okay. Iñaki, a failure?
Oh, so many, right? I mean, I run a startup, so you wonder, you pivot every day kind of thing. But so many things. One that maybe is a bit fun or interesting is, I remember back in the days, we were obsessed about how we could help airlines monetize distressed inventory. And the product we launched, we thought, oh, this is going to kick ass, right? It was called Standby Ticket. Basically, you were flying like pilots, right? You could pre-book your plane, and if it was available last minute, then you jump onto it, and then you pay, and then you go, right? It didn't take off at all. It was a freaking disaster, right? Now, the fun fact is that years later, the same problem, we kind of like tweak a bit the solution, and we go for, listen, instead of call it standby ticket, and you pre-book, and then let's see if there's availability, let's call this all you can fly. We call this all you can fly. You pay X amount per year, and then all you can fly if there's availability last minute. And then freaking ballooned, and it's working very, very well. Okay. And it was just kind of like a couple of tweaks, a bit of marketing and communication, and bang, the thing is on. So it's very surprising.
So from a failure, Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Kind of thing, yeah, kind of thing.
Okay. Wolfgang, what about a spectacular failure startup?
2 startups, right, in which
Only
we even invested, right? So one, and that was a bit of bad luck shortly before the pandemic. We invested in a startup who wanted to change the way how VAT refund works. It's a quite interesting market, dominated by 2 players. You could be arguing, ripe for disruption. Went belly up after God knows how many years. I think that was, for me, the most important thing. The other one, also very promising startup, actually on a topic that I think where maybe the guys were just too early, in kind of orchestrating collaboration between travel players. So think about you have booked an early check-in at a hotel, your plane gets delayed. Why couldn't you pass that information on to the hotel? Because then they don't have to keep the room, and they can give the room away because they know you're not coming. Bombed completely.
Bombed as well.
We could have used that the last couple of days, I think.
Here.
So, Wolfgang, let's flip the switch. What is a company that you wish now that you would have said yes to?
More or less all of our acquisitions 5 years earlier, because we paid a shitload of money afterwards. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the you, me, and the machine theme. So one thing humans do better than machines.
High five. I think the human interaction. Machines can never replace that for me.
Disagree.
Yes. Yes.
I will be saying...
Thumbs up emoji.
No, I will be arguing there's nothing that I could imagine where I would be saying in the long run it couldn't be simulated. Right? You see this. I mean, you have interactions with... there's this famous Turing test, right? The Turing test is a test where you say, when are machines, quote unquote, like humans? And it's basically you put a couple of humans in front of machines, you have them interact, and if, I don't know, X% of the humans say they were interacting with a human, then basically this program or whatever, this robot chatbot has passed the Turing test. This was 7 years ago, or 10 years ago, that the Turing test was passed for the first time, right? So I think we will be sooner or later be confronted with a lot more machines than today, and these machines might be your boss, right? It might be judges, it might be your
spouse,
portfolio, it might be your spouse, which has certain advantages, right? At least sometimes. So, but look, I had difficulties thinking about something where I would be saying it cannot be done at least as good as we're doing it now by machine.
Okay. Iñaki, I guess you don't have any answer to that, right?
No, for me, I mean, things that humans do better, I think, is making mistakes, which is very important. Because I think, it's like the fact that we make mistakes make us try new things and approach things from different angles that, maybe just doesn't make sense. So if you're being logical, programmatic, automated, maybe you will not take those angles. And I think making mistakes is, is part of the journey.
Maybe mistakes don't exist.
That's a different debate.
It's maybe just it didn't work the way you wanted it to work, and then you learned from it.
Could be.
All right.
So I want to stick on this theme of machines and humans. So It's said that humans should avoid dull, dangerous, and dirty work and leave that to machines. So Karen, I'm going to start with you. What aspects of your job would you most like to automate?
So I do travel quite a bit, and it keeps happening every time I travel. I get home, I open my suitcase, and it's full of dirty clothes. So if we could make that go away, that would be amazing.
So put a washing machine in the belly of a plane.
I don't want to deal with it. I want to open it and it's clean.
You want to wash your dirty
Wolfgang,
laundry.
that sounds like a business for
Wolfgang.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, I will be saying the work that I think will be automated, which would call dull and dirty work, has to do with data cleansing, screening also of maybe startups, CVs, stuff like that. I think there will be a lot of automation going in there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, Pete, we need to wrap up in 3 minutes, so maybe we move on to the problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one problem that you wish tech would solve, Iñaki?
Well, I think having free, limitless, clean energy.
Clean energy.
If we have like that, then so many other problems go solved, right?
Yeah.
But we might be far away from that. But if we get that one, then so many other things are not a problem anymore.
Wolfgang?
There's a deep answer that I'm giving you. Problem that I want to solve is human stupidity.
Impossible to solve.
But it's a deep answer. You can solve it, but there's implications.
Yeah, I'll stay with the environmental theme.
So I guess my next question was one problem tech will never solve, and Wolfgang's answer is human stupidity.
Could be, yes, could be.
What's the one problem tech will never solve?
I love chocolate. I also love CrossFit, but I love chocolate. Tech will never solve is chocolate A better or is chocolate B better?
Oh, I don't know. Wolfgang might challenge you on that. Iñaki.
Yeah, for me, I'm aligned on this one. I think it's not human stupidity, but I think kind of like, the impossibility of us coming together. I mean, there are some things that are so freaking obvious. I mean, if we are aligned on the basics, we will not need to invest in military. We will not need to do so many silly things we do just because we don't come together, right? I have zero hopes that's going to be fixed, and the latest evidence kind of like proves me right. I don't think that's going away. I think we're going to be a bit stupid for quite a while, and we won't come together.
I bet another thing that you wish that tech would solve is you wish that it would give you more time.
So it's a thing that I wish tech would solve?
Yes.
I mean, for me, it was the energy thing. I think that's the one thing that I would love
But do you wish
solve.
tech would solve your challenge with time?
Yes, I mean, and this is one thing that it's kind of like helping already.
Yeah.
One of the, I mean, I think we all here hate tedious, repetitive tasks that we know need to be done.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you need to do it, like answering emails. So it's like, oh, I need to answer this email. I need to say blah, blah, blah. But thinking takes 2 seconds, drafting 5 minutes, waste of time, right? So automating those things. And I think those are the use cases that we are already getting implemented in the company.
Yeah.
Kind of like pre-filled responses for emails and all that automation of responses. For me, that's liberating a lot of time, not only for me, but I guess for everyone in the room.
Yeah. Wolfgang, how about one problem humans will never solve?
And don't say stupidity.
No. I think I agree with Iñaki here. Living together, truly living together.
Yep.
Won't be able to do that. At least not without massive tech help.
Karen, do you have anything else to add on this?
Oh, I agree. I agree with both of them on that.
Really?
One. Sure.
We don't want this panel to end on agreement. We started with disagreement.
I think the travel industry is really complicated, and I think it will be a long time before technology solves for that.
Well, which is why you guys will be in your jobs for a long time.
That's right. That's correct.
Well, please join me in thanking our panelists, Iñaki, Wolfgang, and Karen. Thank you.